can reflect back to being a player with and manager of some of the finest players that have ever been in the game.
Hotspur America. From the United States to N17, this is the original US-based podcast dedicated solely to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
When you're at a club like Tottenham, they expect you to win all the time. Be the best club in the country as far as I'm concerned.
Coming to you each week during the season.
Spurs in full cry here. Lamella! Oh, what a goal! And Christian Eriksen has scored!
I hate Arsenal. I just hate them.
Oh, what a goal! And Cafu has put Tottenham in front! Kane comes to the Emirates, scores for Spurs.
We're the Yids in America.
Carried away, but Dukes is there to tap in!
To dare is to do.
Tottenham Hotspur turning on the style. Glory, glory night at White Hart Lane. The Spurs are still marching on.
This is Hotspur America.
Episode 7 of the Hotspur America podcast, Season 4. I cannot really believe we've been doing that this long. Wonderful to be back with everybody, and glad that you're listening. As always, the Hotspur America podcast, sponsored by the Community Beer Company, the perfect pub pint to share with your mates. We are actually going to be at their brewery for the Swansea match. Weekend coming, so that ought to be and always is a great time. Joining me this morning, Sam, who has been doing some pretty good deeds down in Southeast Texas, and hopefully they don't send you to Florida, man. How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, watching that storm too. Man, it's crazy. I want all this hurricane stuff to go away and be replaced by Harry Kane.
Yeah, they said it's the first time in recorded history that 2 Category 4 hurricanes will hit in the same season. And oh, by the way, there's another one hanging out there in the Atlantic, Jose. So
just say no to hurricanes, say yes to Harry Kane.
I like that. Yeah, my parents, as stubborn as they are, live in Central Florida and decided to stay for this one. So obviously my thoughts are elsewhere, but we do have a duty for all of our listeners and ourselves to do as good a show as we possibly can, but with the tempered excitement that there are things going on in the world that are much more important and impacting lives in such a way that we want to take the time to let them know that we're thinking about them, and we certainly are. Tim also joining us this morning. Timmy, how are you, my friend?
It's September. I'm great.
I think Harry's pretty happy it's September too, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it, but obviously September's a great month for him. Great month for everyone. Premier League season's in full swing, NFL season starting up. I just love September.
By the way, how about those Horned Frogs?
Yeah, TCU did a pretty damn good job against Arkansas yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fuck you guys.
Anyhow.
On to the footy, shall we? Interesting kind of a week. We saw early on that it was Dele Alli's 100th appearance for Spurs. I thought he played okay, did rather well and was rather serviceable yesterday. Kane also netting 2 goals against Everton, scored his 100th. So 100 seems to be the operative number for the day, as well as later scoring goal number 101. The first one, however, Sammy, he admitted full-fledged on interview and in social media that it was a cross. It just kind of happened to fall in.
Made me think of Ronaldinho in the World Cup against England, and I think his was actually a free kick. I don't think it was actually so much a cross, but there was much debate as to whether he meant to actually shoot or send in a ball into the 6. But nice that Kane was honest enough to admit that it actually was a cross. I guess it was very windy yesterday at Goodison Park, but yeah, I mean, good way to open up his account in the Premier League.
Don't care how about Trips with that fire assist? You don't see Kyle Walker giving those assists.
Straight out of the Tommy Carroll playbook there.
I'll tell you what, hurt or not hurt, Trippier played a really good match, and I think that the Aurier signing is not only just a shot fired across the bow, but it really woke him up, so to speak. I think he realized how poor his performance was against Burnley, and turned it around to not only himself play a great match, Tim, but it seemed like the entire squad possibly played their best match ever under Pochettino. That's kind of how I looked at this when I went back and watched it a second time. What do you think?
I don't know about best match ever. I mean, we've had some good ones at the end of the last 2 seasons, but it was a very quality performance. And, you know, you talk about Trips, but I want to take it to the other side of the field. Ben Davies, man, he had a great match. Like, he's received some criticism in the past about not offering much moving forward, but this season he's created more chances than any other Spurs player. He's already created 12 chances this season. He set up both Eriksen's goal with that deflected shot. He had to cross the Kane for his second goal. And then Sissoko's block shot that looked like it was on its way in, Davies set that one up as well.
Yeah.
Plus, he also scored against Newcastle. I mean, I think he's been great this season. And I don't know. There's a joke going around. Danny Rose, don't Google Ben Davies or who the best Tottenham left back is. Because Ben Davies is fire right now. And I don't know if, I don't want to say a fit Danny Rose doesn't get in, but I don't think he walks right in, because how are you going to take off Davies with how he's playing at the moment?
I think the only way, and Sam, give me your thoughts on this. I think the only way that Rose gets back in the side is just the simple fact that we have so many competitions facing us between Champions League, the Premier League, and the two cup competitions. If it wasn't for all that, Sam, does Danny Rose ever pull the lily white shirt on again?
Oh no, I think he does. I mean, it's just a good situation that we're in, right? That we have good players competing at these positions, and the net result is that we're better. I mean, these players themselves are become better by way of having to compete and fight for their positions. So, I think Danny Rose is the better left back, but I think because a player like Davies is playing well and knows he has to continue to play well to keep his spot, Rose is going to have to up his game. So I'm excited about. I mean, I know that there's a lot of bad feelings to the comments that Rose made and the things that he did, but the net result is that he's here, he's our player, and he knows he's got to fight, and I think all of that will hopefully be behind us, and the net will be to the good at that position.
Tim, anything to rebuke that? I mean, do you feel the same way, or do you think that there's a good risk that if Davis can handle the load, that Danny won't play?
I don't know. I mean,
it's a big ask for a wingback.
It is.
First place, yeah.
I do think that a fit Danny Rose fits the system better. I think he offers more going forward, and it's kind of weird to say given what Davies has shown so far this season. But I mean, you just look at the body of work from last year. Rose against Chelsea, Rose during that December period.
Yep.
I mean, we were at our strongest then, so
and arguably
I don't
he was
know.
our best player. Even with everybody banging in goals, he was arguably the best player during that run.
Yeah, it's good to have this. Hold on, shut up.
Tim's
the dogs are going crazy.
Sorry. Tim's dogs, Sam's kids. It's just part of the Hotspur America.
It is.
It is.
Part of the
we're
furniture.
just
we're just
we're fucking Muppets with microphones. But no, what I was going to say before I was so rudely interrupted by these beasts is that, having this depth, it's so good. We haven't had this. I mean, Sammy, you talk about what our bench has looked like. What about the bench this past week? Son, Dembele, Winks, Llorente, Aurier. I mean, that's a strong bench that we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you there. I mean, it's I always sort of compare this to what Chelsea was able to bring on in key situations, and you're right. We've got more quality options. I did find it interesting that Sanchez started. I know we'll talk about him, and that Aurier didn't. And I'm really fascinated to see how Aurier will develop. Sorry to get diverted, but yeah, no, we've got depth. We've got more depth.
No, it's a great segue to go into too. Sanchez started, I think, mainly because he has been at Hotspur Way here a week and a half, and he's already integrated into the squad a little bit. He's had the practice sessions. I think Aurier's first practice with the squad was the day before the match, so he hasn't had time to even think about the system. I mean, he's just now getting into the country. He just took his first photographs at Hotspur Way, I think on Friday or Thursday or whatever it was. They tweeted those out, so he's just getting into country. Dortmund might be an opportunity, a prime opportunity that we will get to see him. It's part of his pedigree at PSG, playing in those kind of matches under those kind of intense conditions. But let's revert back just a step, and Tim, talk about Sanchez. He seemed to step in. And I think I saw the greatest tweet, and I retweeted it yesterday, was I think that the back wall of Vertonghen, Alderweireld, and Sanchez could keep humans safe from a nuclear blast. Awesome display, because he integrated right in and didn't make a false step all match.
He did, and I think it makes it a little easy being in between Toby and Jan. I mean, you're kind of secure in between those two. It's not like, we've seen the Dyer deployed as the right center back kind of out there on his own having to deal with wingers coming down the side of the pitch. So he didn't have to do that. But, he had a solid game. He won, I think he won pretty much all of his aerial duels. I didn't see him lose a single one of them. And just to have 3 former Ajax defenders right there in our back line, it's really great. And I do think the reason that he played is because you have the injury to Wanyama.
Yep.
And Dembele is getting rested, it looks like, to save him for the Champions League match. So it kind of seemed like you had to put him in there. But he had a very solid performance. I was very impressed. I liked seeing him go beast mode on Dani Alves during the international break. And I'm excited to see what he has to offer this season.
If you have not seen that video, go find it. International break weekend when he played for Colombia. Go find what he did to Dani Alves. I think Dani Alves still may be on the ground after that shoulder-to-shoulder tackle. He absolutely demolished him.
Man, he good. He real good. He's good.
One of the things tactically that was interesting to me is that they played him in the middle of the 3. They didn't put him out on the side. And one of the big characteristics that he brings is speed. Now, does that have a lot to do with the fact that of the 3, maybe the center defender of those 3 is more apt to move forward because it's easier for a center defensive mid to slot back and cover, and he's going to be able to utilize his speed in attack, or what was your take on that?
Yeah, maybe. Probably a combination of things. It is nice to have a more attacking-minded, speedy option in the center of defense. I also think he's very good in the air. And I think being in the middle of defense is helpful and additive there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether that's just maybe that's also coaching staff thinking that maybe Toby might actually be more comfortable on the right side. But I like you, found that was interesting, and I'm really intrigued to see how he's going to be played and integrated into our defending going forward.
What about you, Tim? You and I talked a little bit about this at the pub yesterday, that it was kind of interesting that he was set up in the middle like that. What's your take on it all?
Yeah, I would think the speed is a big part to playing it. If we're playing such a high line, who's going to be able to track back with that forward making the break? I think he offers more of that. Obviously he's faster than Toby and Jan, but also I think, if you have a winger coming down the side of the pitch and bringing the ball into the box, would you rather have Toby picking him up first on the right side or Sanchez? And I think I'd rather have Toby picking him up. So maybe that's another reason why he's stuck in the middle of those two, is you have the stronger defenders on the outsides.
And you know what I've also admired about Toby is that there's plenty of, well, I shouldn't say plenty, but I'm sure there's a number of defenders who are faster than him. But he's so intelligent and he's so technically astute that he sort of makes up for some of the lack of physical attributes that he might have relative to somebody else. So I kind of like him out on the right as well. Davies even showed that, I think, in the second half yesterday. I did notice in the first half he got torched on the right side, and I thought, oh my God, that's always been my fear with him, right? Is that somebody throws speed at him, and he doesn't have a ton of speed, but he made up for it in the second half. I thought against, I think it was Camillo. Is that the guy's name? Yeah. So, and he got, again, he's not the fastest guy in the world, but he intelligently got in between the player and the ball, and he drew a foul. And it kind of made me think about Toby, is that he's really good at that as well. He may not be the best in terms of physical attributes, but he's really, really an intelligent player. Whereas Sanchez is just an absolute athlete. He's just so athletic.
Yeah, and coming into Tottenham, the knock on him was that he is still so very young and he is still so very raw. So I'm very encouraged by how well he integrated into what it was we were trying to do. It's only been a week and a half that he's been at the club, and
he looks super chill. He looks super comfortable. I think the one thing that I did notice is just lack of familiarity with playing with players, which is obviously to be expected. So if you look at some of the passes that he made, and it was the right thing to do. Don't get me wrong. It's just playing safe and keeping it simple, and that was in and of itself smart. And I think he'll get more confidence and open up more. And man, it made me think of like Jan when he was at Ajax, who scored a lot, right? Played in a very sort of aggressive role. I suspect that's probably something that we'll see out of him.
Yeah, I thought the other interesting start yesterday was Sissoko. Timmy, do you attribute that obviously he's been serviceable on